It seems like everyone and their mum is trying to build a profitable personal brand right now. But the truth is, the majority of the coaches and creators teaching this right now are doing it completely wrong. You've been told that the formula goes something like this. Post every single day, cold message a bunch of strangers, be authentic, build some trust, and clients will magically appear out of thin air. But what if I told you that that is complete bollocks? Because the truth is, there is another way. A way that means you don't have to be grafting every single day, glued to your laptop 24/7. You see, the people who are actually winning in this online creator space, they aren't the ones working harder. They've just installed more systems to do the work for them. Systems that let them work fewer hours, generate high-ticket prospects on autopilot, and spend more time doing the things they actually enjoy. Building a business that funds their dream life instead of replacing it. And the sick thing is that once that system's installed, building your personal brand stops becoming a chore and it starts to become leverage. But the reality is that 99% of creators are building personal brands with no systems whatsoever behind them. Posting based on the latest trends, firing cold DMs to complete strangers, chasing views and likes purely for the sake of it. And they wonder why they're still broke and completely burnt out. But why listen to me? Because over the last 18 months, I've built my own personal brand and educational business from zero to multi-six figures, growing to over 72,000 followers at the time of recording, building a cult level audience across platforms, and helping my own clients to generate hundreds of thousands of pounds within my inner circle creator ranks. This is episode 1 of the Creatorpreneur's Playbook, a 6-part series showing you everything that I've done to build this profitable system from scratch. And in the next 6 episodes, we're going to go through everything you could possibly need to launch and scale a profitable online creator business and generate an extra 20k a month using your personal brand, while still having the freedom to travel, create, and live life on your own terms. Now, let me introduce myself properly. My name is Sam Huxter, and 4 years ago, I was still at university. I was studying marketing, freelancing for a few £100 on the side, and trying to figure out how to make this whole online money thing work. In 2021, somebody saw some of my work and I landed a job at a marketing agency. Big clients, big projects, but even with the consistent paycheck and working with all these big names, I still felt like my time and my creative potential were being limited. Everything in my job had rules and I had to sit in meetings every single day. In other words, there were layers between me and what I actually cared about doing, which was creating and building. So I ended up quitting. In 2023, I launched my own agency. I signed my first few clients through my network, and within my first few weeks, I made 20 grand in a month. And at that point, I thought I'd made it. Spoiler alert, I hadn't. The reality was, running that agency nearly killed me. 18-hour days, micromanaging clients, editing up to 10 videos a day, my eyes burning from staring at screens. For 8 months, all I lived on was caffeine and lip pillows. I'd skip meals, I'd skip workouts, I was skipping out on life. My girlfriend would ask me, when can we have a day off together? And I'd just say, soon. But soon never came. And the money didn't even feel like it was mine. Every penny I made was going back into the machine to get more leads, hire more staff, so my margins were razor thin. And I remember one night at about 3 a.m, I was still editing client work. I had a client meeting at 9 a.m. the following morning, and I just looked at myself in the reflection of my MacBook. Dark circles, bloodshot eyes, stress levels were through the roof, and I just stared at myself. This can't be what freedom looks like. This can't be the life I left uni to build. And that was the moment. That was when I realized I wasn't free doing this. I was just self-employed and trapped. So I said, fuck it. I dropped the majority of my clients that next morning, packed my bags, and in late 2024, I booked a one-way ticket to Bali with some of my best friends, which was a bit terrifying because I literally had nothing left in the bank. It was pretty much make or break. I told myself that if I couldn't make it work while I was in Bali, I'd quit, go back to my 9 to 5, and call it a day. And while I was out there in the quiet, away from the noise, I was rereading The Almanac by Naval Ravikant. And there's a concept that he talks about in that book called media leverage. And that idea changed everything for me. The thought that your ideas, your voice, and your content could work for you while you sleep. That you could multiply yourself through media, and that you could reach and sell to thousands of people all at once through just making content, turning your time into assets and your effort into leverage. So I started again. I rebuilt everything from the ground up. Started posting content, stuff I actually believed in, stuff I enjoyed. I told stories that mattered. I started teaching creators all of the lessons I had learned. And within 45 days, I hit 50,000 followers. But more importantly, I built the foundations of something that felt real. But that's when I hit another problem. I realized that it's not as simple as just getting followers and likes and making money. I was sat at 50,000 followers and had a couple of clients coming in, but I wasn't making consistent money. I realized that in order to actually experience true freedom, You need to build systems. So I got back in the lab. I studied, experimented, invested a horrible amount of money, and built the architecture that now runs my business. When my content attracts prospects, my content sells on my behalf, and everything within my system compounds without me having to spend hours and hours on it every single day. And now, fast forward to 2025, my days look completely different. No horrible deadlines hanging over my head. I can take breaks with my girlfriend and travel whenever I want. I start my mornings with the gym or a walk on the beach. Most of my work is creative, recording, writing, mentoring my students within Creator X. And by the afternoon, I close my laptop and go and live my life. Because my rule for Creator X is simple. If it doesn't run while you're offline, it's not worth building. That's what real freedom is. Time, location, financial, creative. In order to understand the personal brand ecosystem and how it operates, we initially need to understand the state of the creator economy. Because the way that the majority of these creator businesses are built, whether that's an agency, coaching, consulting, courses, whatever it is, the majority of them are fundamentally broken. The reason being because they're optimized for sales-based conversions. This is a process where the majority of the customer's decision making is done during the sales conversation, whether that's in the DMs or on a sales call. And all of the marketing efforts are focused on driving as much traffic as possible to book in as many calls as they possibly can. And this includes tactics like running ads directly to a landing page, running ads straight to the DMs or a lead magnet within your DMs, any sort of cold outreach, so cold looms, cold DMs, etc. Anything along those lines counts as a sales-based conversion. And don't get me wrong, these things can work 100%. But even if you're able to book calls from these sales-based systems, the problem still remains that the people you're trying to sell to have no idea who you are. They've literally seen 30 seconds of your ad, maybe a couple of minutes of your VSL, and now they're on a call with you. So they don't see you as an authority. They don't really understand who you are or what you do. And as a result, they don't have any trust that you can actually deliver a real result for them. Meaning that your cost per lead is going to be ridiculously high, whether that's in ad spend or effort cost in the management of your setting team or managing the DMs yourself. The lead quality and the show rate are going to be terrible because, again, these people don't see you as an authority. They're not excited for the call. They're not excited to speak to you. Something amazing that we've had at Creator X over the past few years since starting my personal brand is that the majority of people that show up for these calls have been watching my content for a while. They know who I am. They know where I went on holiday last week. They see me as an authority figure, so they're kind of looking forward to the call. And that's what you want. But when we have these sales-based conversions, closing can feel like a standoff. You have to apply a lot of pressure, you have to handle a lot of objections, and almost force people to make a decision on the call, which leads to that horrible feeling where you're having to be salesy and really push someone on a call, which nobody wants. And the issue with sales-based conversions, again, is that if you stop doing outreach tomorrow or you turn off ads, your business ceases to exist. There is no leverage being built, no longevity to the business that you're building. But why is this? Because back in 2019, 2021, even 2022 to some extent, these sales-based conversions were working really well. You could scale your business quite easily doing this. And there's a few reasons why it's losing its effectiveness, but the main one that I've identified is this. We are in what I call the decision fatigue era. A lot of people talk about the trust recession. I actually don't think that's the case anymore. I think there's actually too many people to trust online, and as a result, people are experiencing decision fatigue. Here's exactly what I mean by that. We're in a place now where every 5 minutes, a brand new guru is popping up with a new system, a new way of doing things, because the barrier to entry to create content and build a coaching offer is so low. Think about it, even just in your niche, there are probably hundreds, if not thousands of people who do exactly what you do. Don't let that scare you off, but just bear it in mind. And as a result of all these people popping up, people are sick of being marketed to. Think about it, the minute you click on an ad or see some sort of cold DM coming to you, your brain doesn't go, oh, this is interesting, I wonder what they have to sell me. No, it goes, right, what are you selling me? Get away from me. It puts your brain instantly into a defensive state of mind. Thought I'd add Mr. Maguire in here just for a bit of reference. But your brain goes into that defensive mode where you're not really open to hearing more about it. You don't want to be sold to. You don't want to hear about it. And this is something that the majority of these creative founders, creative business owners just don't understand about high ticket psychology. Is that at the end of the day, people don't want to be sold to. People don't want to spend loads of money on stuff. What they want to do is make informed decisions on their own. They want to feel like they're in control. They don't want to feel like you've manipulated them into buying something on a sales call. They want to feel like they've made that decision completely off their own back. And that's what you just don't get with sales-based conversions. We're convincing, we're persuading the whole time during the process There's no relationship between you and the person you're talking to. You're trying to basically speed run that entire trust building, relationship building process into a 45-minute sales call. And you're essentially hoping that they make a split decision based on their emotions on that call. There's no informed decision making at all. That's going to lead to a worse experience for your client and a worse experience for you. Our goal is to move away from sales-based conversions. And there's one core way that I found that is very effective for doing this. It's called building a parasocial relationship. It's the same relationship that you might have with Timmy over here. You've seen him in films over the past few years. You've seen him in interviews. You know what kind of guy he is. You know the vibe he brings. Or Kendall Jenner, for example. Or the GOAT over here, Cristiano. You've seen his career. You've seen the TikTok edits. You've seen him in interviews and stuff like that. The bottom line is you want to make the buyer feel like they already know you, even though they've never met you before in their lives. But how do we do this? Okay, a parasocial relationship is built through a few things. So repeated exposure over time, depth, so letting people know more about you, more about the way you do things, more about you on a personal level, consistency, storytelling, showing people your world, so the things that you do on a day-to-day, the people in your life. Think about it, you could probably name this woman's sisters pretty easily, right? So it's the people and the environment that they live in as well. It's letting people buy into your way of thinking, your ideology, and communicating things that matter to you and your beliefs. And the thing with parasocial relationships is that these relationships form not with pressure, not by forcing someone through a sales funnel, but through consistent exposure and reciprocity, giving people value over time, showing up consistently so that people build that relationship with you over time. And what this allows you to do is when you build that parasocial relationship, it allows you to unlock brand-based conversions. And what this means is that the majority of the decision-making on the customer's part is done during that marketing process. So that when they hop on a call with you or someone in your team, they already know they want to work with you. They're already ready to go. All you have to do is tell them the price and where to pay. And this happens because they've been binge watching your content for the past couple of weeks, couple of months. They resonate with your worldview, the way you go about doing things. They felt seen by your content. They aligned with your values. They recognize that you actually know what you're on about. And they like your character. They like the person you are as well. So that by the time they get on a call, they already like you, trust you, and understand exactly how you're going to get them a result. And this is why brand-based conversions feel effortless. Okay, so the real question is not how do we get as many people as possible on a sales call? How do we get more followers? How do we get more views? The real question is how do you build trust, depth, and that inevitability at scale? And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to show you. The way we do that is by building a personal brand ecosystem. And the way that we've designed the personal brand ecosystem is designed to match the organic customer journey. So the psychology behind people's buying decisions. And we split it up into checkpoints. The same way that when you're playing Mario, you have to hit certain checkpoints in order to get to the end of the level. See, I was talking to a mentor of mine. He told me that the average time for somebody to go from having first seen you for the first time to being ready to buy a high ticket product, the average time for that is 90 days. Okay, because there's certain checkpoints they have to go through in order to be ready to buy. The first checkpoint is becoming a viewer, then becoming a lead, then becoming a first-time buyer, becoming a true fan, and then becoming a high-ticket buyer, all right? So our job as marketers, as people building a personal brand and online business, is to architect those different touch points, the hours they spend with us through our content, the different touch points across our social media channels, the different channels we're operating on, so that over this natural 90-day cycle, we can build that relationship and we can get them ready to actually end up working with us. So what touch points do we actually need to create? And the way that we operate, there's actually only 4 we really need to worry about. Okay, let me run through them. Number 1 is awareness. Okay, so this is where we first appear. This is where we first grab their attention. And the way I like to think about this is like, imagine you're dating a girl or a boy if you're so inclined. Okay, the first thing we need to do is grab their attention and get them to think, okay, this guy's unique, both visually and intellectually, and he actually knows his stuff. Maybe I'll stick around. Maybe I'll go on a first date with him, right? Then we generate interest. Once they've made that kind of micro commitment to drop you a follow or check out more of your content, we need to show them how our system works. We need to let them know that we actually know what we're talking about and give them an opportunity to go from a viewer to a lead. This is the second phase in the process. Once we've done that, we need to create desire for our products. This is where we start to show our method, our evidence for our offer, and our unique way of doing this, our personality, our brand, our values. This is what's going to take them from seeing us as just another coach or just another agency as someone that they resonate with, someone that they have a parasocial relationship with. And then finally, we need to provide the opportunity for them to take action in a way that doesn't feel salesy, in a way that doesn't feel pushy, but in a way that makes it feel like the next logical step is working with you directly. It just feels like the natural next move. So how do we do this? And this is where I'm going to dive into the actual personal brand ecosystem itself. And over the next 5 episodes of this series, we're going to dive into this in a lot more detail. So stick around for that. So the first thing we need to do is build an offer. Your offer is the foundation of your entire content ecosystem. And without a solid offer, your content strategy is going to be misaligned. Your offer isn't just what you sell. It's the foundation of your entire content ecosystem. Yes, it's the transformation you deliver, the result you deliver, but it's also the identity that someone steps into. So in episode 2, we're going to get complete clarity on the core transformation that you deliver, the exact person you help, and your mechanism for delivering results at scale. If you can't get people results at scale, your entire ecosystem collapses. So your offer is the engine behind your entire business. Secondly, we need to build your actual personal brand foundations. Okay, and your brand is a lot more than just like a logo or the aesthetic of your content. It's your story, your values, your interests, your lived experiences, and your ideologies. This is the human layer of your content, which is going to make people pick you over the hundreds of thousands of other creators online. We're going to dive into this in episode 3. And something that I like to tell people to remember when they're building a personal brand is that our goal isn't to reach 100,000 or 1 million people. It's to build a cult of people who really believe in what we do, love our way of doing things, and will potentially become customers in the future. There's no point in having 1 million followers if none of them actually resonate with you or like you at all. That's why you see influencers with millions of followers who are completely broke. We'd rather have those 1,000 true fans who really resonate with your worldview, your philosophy, trust you, and want to work with you directly. And your personal brand is the anchor of that parasocial relationship that we spoke about earlier. And once we have these two things, we can combine them to create our market message, which we can then start to build content with. Starting with our attention engine. This is where we grab people's attention, obviously, where we hook in the right people, repel the wrong people, and push them deeper into our ecosystem. The way I see Instagram is it's like the front door to your ecosystem. It's the easiest way to bring new people in, and we can use tools like ManyChat to distribute our viewers over to our different areas of our ecosystem. This platform isn't where we're going to be building the majority of that parasocial relationship. It's just a starting point. Once we've captured that attention, we can distribute it over to our authority engine, which is going to be some form of long form content. And this is actually the core of your entire content ecosystem. We're going to be going over this in a later episode in a lot of detail, but your authority engine is where you build authority, teach your framework, install your ideology, tell your stories, actually spend hours with people. And you've probably heard of the 7-11-4 rule. This is where we're going to tackle that. 7 hours spent across 11 different touch points across 4 different platforms. This is where we're going to have the bulk of our time spent with our audience. When we design the authority engine correctly, it's almost like we've got a Netflix series that our audience can binge. This is where we really start to shift their beliefs and take them from a viewer to a lead. And the end goal here between these 2 different platforms is building up our conversion engine or our email list. Now, we actually use a combination of free communities and email list based on the different niche that you're in. But when you have an email list or a free community, a platform where people can access you directly, they're receiving messages from you daily directly to their inbox. This is where we can really nurture people on a larger scale. We can build and maintain that relationship directly. This is arguably one of the most underrated stages of the personal brand ecosystem. Not a lot of people do this at the moment. But when we build up this platform, we build up this engine, we have a list of people that we can directly invite to work with us. And once we sort these different things, we can start to install extraction points. When we've got people who we're grabbing their attention, we're installing authority, and we're getting them ready to conversion, we then need to install extraction points. So different areas of our ecosystem that we can invite them to come and work with us. Whether that's free events, whether that's through a document or through conversations. I'm going to dive into this in a lot more detail in episode 5, so make sure you stick around for that one as well. And finally, we go through a process called market recursion. Through this process, through working with clients, you're going to pick up a lot of data that you can use in your marketing. Whether that's through sales calls, whether that's through coaching calls, whatever it is, you're going to pick up a lot of information about your ideal target avatar. So you also need to have a process to use that data to improve your marketing. So we're also going to run through this in a later episode. And the beautiful thing about the personal brand ecosystem is that it was designed to address the freedom test. Okay, so these are the 4 freedoms that I've been prioritizing ever since I worked in my agency and realized I completely hated it. Okay, so the first one is financial freedom, or fun tokens, as I like to call them. Okay, having enough money to be able to go away, do the things you want to, buy the stuff you want to, and basically enjoy life financially without having those restrictions there. Secondly, we've got spontaneity, and this was a big one for me when I was running my agency. I was tied to my laptop all day. I could never take any breaks, and I had to say no to a lot of plans. So time freedom, spontaneity is something that this allows you to do. Running this business model, running this system is something that this allows you to do. So that if my dad wants to go to Dublin for the weekend, or if my girlfriend wants to go to Oslo for a little break, I can just say yes and kind of go at the drop of the hat without my business going to shit. Thirdly is what I call anywhere ops. And I've been working with this idea of being able to run my business from my iPad. So the idea that I can operate my business from anywhere in the world, regardless of the time zone, and not have to stress about it at all. And finally, and this is one of the big ones for me, is being able to have complete creative control over my business. Something that happened when I was working in my 9 to 5 is that I was so excited to get into the world of marketing. I was so excited to start working in online business. And as soon as I got in there, I didn't have the option to actually create anything. So creative expression, creative freedom is something that I value a lot when it comes to building a personal brand and building an online business. Okay, now that was a lot to go through, but now you understand the foundations of the personal brand ecosystem and how it works. And like I said, over the next 5 episodes, we're going to dive into each stage of this personal brand ecosystem in immense detail. So make sure you're subscribed, make sure you're ready for those next few videos. And this isn't just theory, right? This is stuff that's worked for real people in the exact same niche as you over and over and over again. For example, Rob, who went from 7K a month in the trading industry to making consistent 45K months, or Alberto, who went from charging like $50 for his B2C bodybuilding mentorship to selling out his B2B coaching within 9 days of joining Creator X. Or guys like Tim, who had never made a penny through digital products before joining and is now making 21K consistently and is about to move to Spain. Or Josh, who went from freelancing and struggling to maintain his clients to making 13K a month with his agency. And listen, the money's great and everyone in Creator X makes it, but the real win is the lifestyle, having the freedom to do the things you want to do, because your business should give you freedom, not take it away from you. And once the ecosystem is installed, that's exactly what you get. Now, before I move on, I've given you a lot to play with today. I want to give you some homework. So your job now is to join the free Skool community in the description of this video and answer the following question. I'm going to be in there looking at your answers and directly answering myself. Question number 1. Can you describe who your target avatar is and what problem you solve in 1 sentence? Number 2, if someone were to watch 30 videos of yours, would they be able to understand exactly who you are, what you do, and how you can help them? If not, why not? And number 3 is, are you happy with the way your business is running? Does it align with the 4 freedoms that I discussed today? And if not, why not? Answer those 3 questions, put them in the Skool community below. I'm going to go through and answer any questions you have and see where I can help. Subscribe, watch the rest of the series and pick up everything for yourself. This series is going to be ridiculously valuable. Or if you want to completely skip the learning process and you're like, I've heard enough, Sam, I want to install these systems, I want to get the ball rolling, follow the instructions in the description below to join Creator X the next time we open the doors. In the next episode, we're going to run through offer alchemy, how to build an offer which delivers real results at scale and acts as the engine behind your entire content and marketing strategy. I'll see you in the next video.